one I'll call out that is actually really, really pivotal. Um, we've learned as a society how to work virtually. And it's interesting because, it's been something that's been spoken about for a long time. Like, how do you work from home? How do you work remotely? And instantaneously, regardless of your industry organization, a majority of them, unless you were frontline, were working from home. And by and large, we figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's been, technology that's been put in place in a lot of our organizations. There's been infrastructures. There's been confidence in terms of how do you actually operate in a Zoom or WebEx type of environment. Those are all skills that no one can take away from us. And while we don't know what the world will look like in terms of what virtual will look like when our world gets back to normal, what we can probably guarantee, it's going to be somewhere interjected depending on the organization as part of the day-to-day. That can be a bonus. That can only be a benefit when you think about our world returning to normal and you have that work-life balance and the freedom to be able to actually do that, knowing that it's been done. So I think that that's something that will be really exciting. Ironically, I think there's been deeper connections depending on the teams, and not because we can't see each other, but because of the types of intentional conversations some leaders have been leading with their teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had conversations with some of my leaders that I've never had in person before, and it's drawn us closer. It's
Mm-hmm.
helped us to build better connections and deeper connections. I think that's been a huge bonus when it comes to just our daily interactions. Now, don't get me wrong. My personal belief is, listen, there's a value in being in person to a certain degree. It builds culture, but when you're actually having these deeper conversations, you can take that culture to another level. And I think that in some pockets that's been happening.
Mm-hmm.
From a leadership perspective, and Kristen, you and I spoke about this a bit, but I said what was amazing is you've seen some of our female leaders really lean into the inspiring leadership piece of their day-to-day interactions with their teams. And what I mean by that is when you're looking at high-performing organizations, there obviously is a focus on initiatives and the drive and motivation to get those initiatives out. That will never go away.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now what we've seen is that this whole piece about how to build connections with your teams, how to motivate your teams, how to actually just build followership within an organization. I think you start to see that it's actually become not just a nice to have, it's equally as important to actually get that drive and motivation from your teams. And I've seen a lot of our female leaders just naturally lean in. And what's been awesome about that is you start to actually see their names being spoken about in a lot of talent discussions, not only in my group, in tons of groups outside of my industry and colleagues that I've spoken to. You're starting to see a direct correlation of how that skill set is really valuable in this world, and it's evident in this world. And so I think that's been an unhidden, or it's been a hidden bonus that is starting to unhide itself.